All right, you guys, we're live. What's happening, everybody?
Hello.
Hi.
I finally weaseled my way into one of the Women of FWA podcasts.
We're letting you. We're letting you.
This is an
I knew this was
exception.
going to happen. So first, I want to say thank you, everybody, for going on this. I know Susan was traveling, so she was asking us to help get everybody connected to the system. So I know Yadira's here. Andrea, Aleah, am I saying it correctly?
Yeah, Aleah.
Aleah. Okay, I am horrible with names. Worse with we're trying to spell them, obviously. But I think today we're going to be discussing working with our spouses, which I think all of us in this group is doing, and a lot of people that are watching. So let's let you guys go around and introduce yourselves first.
Go ahead, I'm Andrea. I'm Andrea. My husband owns High Point Fence Contractors here in Colorado. So, yeah.
Cool. I'm Aleah, and my husband and I own CCI Fence in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
And I am Yadira Fredrickson, and my husband and I own Las Vegas Fence primarily, and also now FWA.
Yeah, and I'm Brian, Las Vegas Fence. I think obviously Yadira and I work together so a lot, but we are in separate offices. We used to be right across from each other, but I think it's working out a little bit better having some space. But I think we got along pretty good working, right next to each other for so many years. So all of you work with your spouses, like husbands, fiancés? What's the actual nitty gritty with it? I don't know if you guys introduced that or not yet.
Yeah, so my husband and I, we are new to the fencing industry. So we've only owned our company for about a year. But prior to that, we've been in construction and real estate for the last 10 years together. And even before we got married, we have been working together. So we've got lots of experience.
That's about the same for me and Cole.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
His company has evolved. He started out I want to say 12, 14 years ago, something like that. He started when he was 16. 14. Wow. 14. Started when he was 14.
Yeah.
And he started in landscaping and then worked through all the landscaping, field mowing, all the things. And within the last couple of years, he got into fencing. And I have helped him since he was 16 with anything related to his business.
Wow. Yeah. Fencing. That's how a lot of people start young in construction, everything. When you're in construction, a lot of times you find out that they were, 12, 13, 14 out working with their uncles and fathers and stuff. So it's always interesting to hear the stories are pretty similar with that. What do you guys think some of the pros and cons of working with your spouse are? Because I know there's a lot of both.
Oh, it can be really, really rewarding. I'll start off being positive. It's really rewarding when you guys can achieve something together and be able to celebrate in each other's victories and be able to share experiences. And it's a really special, unique thing that not a lot of people get to do together. So when you can do it, it's really rewarding.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree.
I think 100%. Also, in terms of time, a lot of times when you are starting your company, there's a lot of time that you need to spend at your place of business, and I think it in that sense, it makes it easier when you do work with your spouse that you can work. If you know that there's something that needs to be done at the office, you can go with them at 8 or 9 o'clock at night sometimes. So in that sense, I think there's definitely a lot of positives.
Yeah, I think it was just a couple of days ago she came into the office and it was 8 o'clock at night and I was working. She's like, well, I guess this is what you'd love to do. I'm just gonna have to accept it and hang out with you. And she sat down and
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Andrea?
I mean, a pro is that with him being busy all the time, the only I want to say time we get together and be together is if he needs help with something. So like we get to spend some quality time together doing what he loves, and I get to help him do that.
Yeah, that's nice. And I think it is, it obviously the arguments, you have, which I'm going to go into for us. I mean, how do you handle those arguments that you get into at home, the night before, and then you go to work and, maybe you weren't as lovey-dovey in the morning like you normally are because you were arguing all night the night before. How do you guys handle that? I know how we handle that. I think we just suck it up and, we separate it, but I know that's difficult for a lot of us. How do you guys handle it?
So for us, because, and I'm sure for you too, Andrea, starting your company's so young, there's the whole like emotional maturity that you still have to grow through. So I'd say where we are today is so much better than we were 10 years ago, because when you really just pull back the layers, when you keep the end goal in mind, it makes it so much easier to get through these arguments. Because I say we've gone through so many arguments that were so petty, the days where you're not talking to each other and you're just like, did you send that estimate? Like work still needs to get done. So you're still doing things, but like, maybe instead of like a text message with the heart at the end, you just don't send an emoji.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. The arguments, like those are just really hard. And I think just forgiveness and grace and a little bit of what you said of sucking it up and just getting through it, because work needs to get done. We both have the same goal. And at the end of the day, like our marriage is still the most important thing. So we got to figure it out.
Yeah. And I think that what's important too is we both know that we're working towards the same goals. So we do have to kind of separate the home life from the work life. So I think for us, we have been able to kind of do that, but it does suck in the very beginning when you do. I mean, we've been working together for close to a decade now, but in the beginning, I think it's hardest for sure.
Oh, 100%. And my husband and I are high school sweethearts. So basically through like a majority of our relationship has been him working, and I'm having to balance like being in a young relationship and him running a company.
Yeah.
Even though he's got like his mom and his brother and other employees, it's still like he needs to we have to figure out how we were going to separate his company and our relationship, even being that young.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't necessarily like get to focus on like the argument. Sometimes it's like really just like figuring out how to like press on, just like kind of a pissing match, and just we're just going to get shit done. Like this is what we're going to do. And sometimes when we've found that when we can do that and we can go back to the argument later, I'm able to approach the argument so much more level-headed and clear-minded versus like trying to solve everything right then.
You're right. Yeah, definitely.
I think if I can get her to go to lunch with me, I'm in the clear. So my entire morning ritual and routine after a big argument is to figure out how am I going to get her to let me take her to lunch. So if I could take her to go eat, we're golden. We're pretty much over it. But if she won't go eat with me, or if she takes off and goes and gets some yogurt and granola or whatever the hell she gets, she goes and gets something like that. If she ain't going to go eat like some tacos and she eats granola and yogurt, then I know I'm in trouble. So and then takes off without saying goodbye. I'm like, oh man, it's gonna be a rough night at home.
Does everybody have kids? Andrea, you have little ones? Do you have 2 or 1?
I have 2. I got one that'll be 4 in December, and my other one is 4.5 months.
Okay. Wow. Do you guys have kids?
They're older. They're older.
They're older.
Okay.
Yeah, one of them works there. Melissa, if anybody's ever talked to her from the fence show and all that stuff, she deals with a lot of the magazine and the fence show people and stuff. So Melissa works there, and then the other ones are in college. So college and then off to work. So it's a lot older. So we don't have to deal with that at least, because that's even rougher. Yeah, that's even rougher.
We're like in the teenage phase of everything right now. So like it's a lot. And so that's I was just gonna ask how you manage your little ones and and working, because I know it's a challenge for me, and I know my kid would probably not be super excited about, like, let me rephrase that. She's not super excited about always having to like sacrifice like my attention. Like if I'm going to her cheerleading thing, I'm bringing my computer or something like that just so I can make it work. But for you having littles, do they like coming on the job sites? Do they get to come and be involved? And how is it
Oh,
managed?
100%.
Yeah.
I have 2 boys.
Oh, okay. So they're all about it.
They're all about it. My oldest loves doing anything with his dad when it comes to equipment. Like I want to say this summer, he was doing a job in Fort Collins and had his post pounder, like a big one that you ride on. It's like does the whole thing. He rode on it with him for like the entire stretch. We were there. I only planned on bringing him lunch, and we were there 3 hours.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it was the same thing with our
And then
daughter.
it was very difficult to get him to leave.
Yeah.
He knew he wasn't going to continue on, and he just wanted to stay.
Yeah, I was gonna. So was it difficult for you guys when you started your guys' fence company having little kids like the phase that we're in now, and how has that transitioned into having adult children be a part of your company? Like how that fascinates me.
So we went through a phase with our daughter where she well, when she was little, when she was younger, she loved getting up every morning or on Saturdays and Sundays and going on estimates with Brian. And that was like one of the things that she loved. And we even have pictures of her like on the Bobcat and stuff. And then she went as she transitioned into like teenage years, she wanted nothing to do with us, wanted nothing to do. I mean, as much as we wanted her to kind of come into the office and help out or go out, she wanted nothing to do with it. And now after going off to trying out some of the crappy jobs that are out there, she's kind of come back to us.
Yeah. I think the kids, they don't want to work for their parents. They grew up with the company. They don't realize the company, afforded them all the stuff that they had that they didn't have to stress over and stuff. But they they take it for granted, like a lot of people, when you have a company and your parents own something. But and then they want to, of course, I thought she moved out 6 years earlier. She was just hiding in her room for 5 years, so you don't see them much when they come here. But nonetheless, they don't understand, they don't understand how nice it is to have a company you can go work for, your parents own and stuff. So they leave for a little bit and they realize, okay, it is tough out there. You've got real bosses. You don't have your parents you can talk back to a little bit.
Yeah.
and you're not going to get paid. You're not on Christmas. You automatically get approved on the holiday stuff because you're going with us. So it's not like you're
right.
So it is difficult. It's difficult, but I think it's nice to see them too. Your kids normally when they become 20, you wouldn't see them that much. So if they work for you, and then we got my daughter, her boyfriend works there, so I get to keep an eye on him too. So
how does everybody define like their like roles? Like obviously like when you're joint owners of a company, but like you have roles and tasks. So how does everybody divide these roles and tasks?
I do the fun stuff. And then like if you have to review like, contracts and all that stuff, she does it. The rest of the stuff like the golf and,
Luckily for us, it worked out because I came from a background where I did accounting, I did contracts, I did all that. So it kind of worked itself out. But I can't imagine somebody who or a couple who wants to go into the same, dividing your roles, I can't. Mm-hmm. How do you guys do it?
Well, I mean, that's a perfect question because my husband and I, we both have a lot of the same experiences. We have a lot of the same knowledge when it comes to running the back end of the business. Mm-hmm. And QuickBooks has just put us in such bad arguments, like because we both have this accounting knowledge. We both have like this systems and processes knowledge. And it's like, he wants it to be this way and I want it to be this way. And it's like, if you would just listen to me, it's simple. If you just do it this way. And he's like, no, I'm telling you, you just do it this way. It's so much more simpler. And so it's like, there's so many times where we get so gridlocked over the stupidest things. Yeah. And again, it's peeling back the layers. Like, okay, what is the goal? We just want to send an invoice. Okay. How can we both do the same process so that our customers have the same experience and our customers happy? And we put our differences aside and get this done. We've had to really like tuck or one or the other. One of us is right. Sometimes more often it's me, but he's really right. And he, you know, from his experiences, like he really knows, and I have to listen, like, okay, like that makes a lot of sense. And so having that like mutual respect, and it's hard, especially when you're switching hats.
For sure.
So yeah.
I mean, for Cole and myself, I don't do too much of like the invoicing and stuff. I help when he needs like plans looked at and figuring out how to start an estimate and like all those things. I'm more of the like, I help him when he needs this done now. I get it done, and I figured I mean, we call each other 20 some plus times to make sure I'm doing this the way he needs it done, so it like flows over to his estimator who can put it in and send it off, right? So
I think we're lucky because I don't want to get inside of QuickBooks at all. So I just want my credit card to work, and she handles all of that. So I think, yeah, if you divide that stuff up, and you know, you have to have a lot of trust in both. I think you have to trust that, you know, I mean, she has to trust that I'm going to go out and make sure the jobs get sold and hire the right people and you know, get our superintendents and the trucks and the tools and the equipment and our marketing. And so she has to have a lot of trust in that, because that's our, you know, that's our whole you know, that's our future as well. But I have to trust her because, I mean, half the time, I mean, I don't know what's in the bank. I couldn't tell you what the bank balance is on an average day, or, you know what I mean? I could be off by a lot. And then she's worried about stuff that I don't have to worry about. And and I worry about stuff she doesn't have to worry about. So I think it is important to define that and then stick to it. You can't cross over. You can't start bugging each other about stuff that is not your responsibility.
Yeah, and it's been the most challenging part, like when it comes to like setup time. Like for like right now, like our biggest challenge is like the getting QuickBooks and Job Nimbus to talk to each other, you know, and we're still learning Job Nimbus too. And so, but you know, the trust part. So it's like he trusted me. Like I just spent a couple days at the Job Nimbus headquarters for their Job Nimbus crew event or whatever it's called, and you know, trusting that I'm just going to come back and I'm just going to implement these things, and I think that trust part is so important, because how can you exist as a company without trust?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of arguments though around it.
Oh yeah, for sure, and it's just really practicing those things of like just having good boundaries and really respecting each other too. Like I don't talk bad about him, he doesn't talk bad about me. Like we trust that, not to employees, like not to anybody. Like it's just, and that's part of like also having kind of like that work-life balance established. Like what of our personal life is acceptable in our professional life, and what of our professional life is acceptable in our personal life. Having that really defined too is really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to that, in my opinion, I think a lot of times when Brian and I we used to kind of work in the same space and stuff, but half the time when somebody came in, they wouldn't even know that we were, you know, husband and wife, because it's important, like you said, when you're in your place of business for there to be a definition of, you know, home and work. So
yeah, it's a big deal. Yeah, it's definitely a big deal, and we've had our struggles with it, but honestly, right from the very beginning, we just kind of went right into our roles, and there wasn't over that. I mean, we argue over all kinds of other stuff, but not really over who's supposed to be doing what. But she gets angry over what I'm spending, like on a constant basis. Did we need that? Did we need that new auger? Do we need that? It just goes on and on and on. But I'm like,
I think that's most of our arguments where you know, did you have to go out and buy that truck without bringing it up to me? Like, are we now in that space where you can go out and, you know, spend $20,000 without consulting me, you know?
And I'm
So
like, well, apparently
Yeah.
so, because I just did. And that normally is not a good answer, by the way. If anybody, okay, I tried that, it didn't work. But you should definitely have a discussion.
so we're still constantly learning about each other and still growing, growing as a couple and growing as a business partners. And I think it's a never ending learning.
Yeah.
I do have to say real quick, because we are streaming on My Fence Life's podcast channel as well. And someone was just asking me if Dan was okay. So by the way, everybody, Dan is okay. He's traveling. So we're just streaming to his channel. He's going to be doing some lives tomorrow from the AFA University, the stuff that's going on over there. So if he doesn't go on and do something tonight. So Dan's okay. He's traveling. So let everybody know. Dan for letting us hijack your channel today.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions from any of the streaming that we're on? Do you have a burning office question, field question, that how you handle things with your spouse? Because we're happy to answer them.
Well, I know you mentioned how do you establish the clear boundaries? Was there a sit down that you guys had? I mean, we just naturally fell into it, and that's probably because I was doing it before she came in. So, if you started it together, I'm sure it's a lot different. Did you have something where you sat down and discussed, how you were going to divide who does what, the boundaries of your relationship, and how you would address the issues at work and things?
No, but I wish that we would have. Like, I really wish that we would have made that a priority, like when we're happy, like when we're excited. And I think that's a key thing that people could take away is like establish those boundaries, like when you're happy, not when you've already crossed it, but you didn't even know it was a boundary. So it's so much easier if you put that out there and you say like, hey, this is the boundary, and then you can respect that versus having to like backpedal and then just start pointing fingers at each other. And we've learned a lot. And so I think that we've created boundaries from experiences that we've gone through versus being in that position of like, hey, we're in a good spot right now. Let's put some boundaries together. But most often people don't do it that way. And but we're getting better to be at a spot where I hope that, as we start growing this little fence company into something bigger, that we can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you?
I've had to kind of put I'm not as involved in all the installation and stuff. I do more of the, background paperwork, things like that. But I've had to do the boundary of he brings his work home just as anyone would who runs a company. I've had to make a point to him that we have to cut it off at this time because your kids want to see you. They're young enough that they want to do something with their dad. So I have to we got to cut it off at this time. If it's an emergency, you got to send the estimate tomorrow. You got 30 extra minutes, but he does bedtime with my kids. That includes bath, teeth, and putting them to bed. So I need him to be able to do those with their undivided attention, and they get his undivided attention. So we've had to do that. You got to be done by 8:30 at the latest.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
That's our boundary, because I understand he's busy. I get it. We don't text or whatnot all the time throughout the day. I get calls here and there. Sometimes it's him just checking in. Other times it's, hey, I need you to look at this estimate. Hey, I need you to look at this bid. Hey, can you go pick this up for me at Deere? Whatever it may be. But at 8:00, work's done. It needs to be done regardless. After the kids go to bed, if you got to do something on the computer, great.
Yeah.
But your kids need your undivided attention when you get home.
That's how you know your business owners, when you tell them, hey, 8, 9 o'clock, you're done today. I know you started at 5 this morning, but 8 or 9 tonight, you're done. You got to have some work-life balance.
Yeah. No, I'm proud of you for doing that, because I think there's so much nobody's mind readers. That's the other part that I've learned about being married, is that we're not mind readers. And I think that's really cool that you are so clear in your communication and saying this is our boundary. I think people struggle in that. And I think that's really cool that you do that.
I had to start it when we discussed, like when we got married and we're planning on having children. I explained to him that like we can't be having late nights and all the things. Like once we have kids, those kids are going to want your attention. And considering you're gone from 6:30 to 7:30 in the morning until 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, whenever you're home, they need to be with you.
Yeah. But he's tired. We're tired.
That's I get it, but his kids don't.
Yeah.
No, it is. It's hard. And we're fortunate we don't have the little kids anymore and stuff, but I get it. Like she was saying, I remember when our daughter, she was excited to get up on Saturday and go do the sales calls. If I'd get up and leave before, she'd be calling, "What are you doing? What happened? Why'd you leave without me?" And I miss those days a little bit, obviously, but but now I go to work by myself on Saturday until Yadira gets up and normally shows up. But would you guys do it all over again? Would you given all the information you have now, would you start a company together with your spouse again?
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
Give me 10 other companies to start. Like, let's go. Like, like I said, I really believe in like the reward of it all. Yeah. Like it's the most rewarding thing to be able to get to work together and spend our time together. It's super awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we got some other messages in here. Billy Grove said, we had Bailey of Women of FWA on our show last night. That was a good show.
I love Bailey.
Bailey's cool. Yeah, so let's go through some of these. Make sure we say hi to everybody that at least made some comments on here. And I know we'll try to go back and respond to everybody in the groups. Because if this thing went live, if you're watching this, you're either on Facebook, LinkedIn, or possibly even the Women of FWA YouTube channel. I'll have to go check that out. We just linked to it. So the people that were in here, and I don't know why it says some just say Facebook user, maybe they have a privacy setting or something on. But we do have Aaron Preston. If you know him, he's awesome, dude. He sent some hearts. I'm assuming that was for me, not you ladies, but thanks, Aaron. We love you too. I pulled Robert up. Robert, he's awesome. He was saying hi, Aaron. What did he say? Backbone company.
The backbone of our companies are our wives.
That's so true. True.
That is true.
Yeah. You can't argue that. At least I'm not going to argue it because mine's in the other office next door. A couple of Facebook users says what's up. It looks like So Michael Brooks says, "Ask Yadira." Oh man, I should have read his before I just popped it up just to see what it said. That was a ballsy move on my part, wasn't it? Ask Yadira direction before you say start 10 other companies. That's true.
Oh.
That's
You'll be my first call.
I'm always trying to start stuff. So, anybody, I don't know how long you guys normally do these. I think we're at about 30 minutes. Was there some stuff everybody wanted to discuss? Some topics? I mean, I don't want to cut it short. I mean, I could talk all night with you ladies. There's no doubt. I went through my talking points that I kind of had up there. I don't know if there was. I know you had a list of about 10 things that maybe we didn't hit.
Yeah. I think they're usually about 30 minutes. But a couple other things that I had that I wanted to make sure that I feel is important about working together and being married, are really taking time to celebrate your achievements and celebrate your failures. Sometimes we celebrate failures more than we celebrate achievements, especially this past year. Like there's just some stuff we've really gone through. But when you get to go to lunch together because you both have had a crappy day, like that's like a celebration. I feel like I always feel good about that. And then when it's an achievement, when you're celebrating something good, then you go all out, like go out for dinner, take your family or just even spend a weekend away, which we don't do often enough, but really celebrate those things. And then also I just wanted to mention about like seeking support. Like it is a really important thing that if like there's something just so wrong like going on between you, like that it's okay, like go talk to a third person that's not your family, and just kind of hash some things out sometimes, and it will be okay, and give yourself grace and that respect to grow. And sometimes your path might not always be the same, it might not always align, but again, keeping that end goal in mind, keeping your goals, and you'll get it.
Yeah. How do you guys, one of the questions I guess I was kind of would like to know is how do you guys overcome those times when you're tired or you're exhausted of dealing with, whatever issues, company issues, or how do you battle exhaustion from everyday life with your spouse at work? What do you guys do? Is there something you guys
Right. Well, I mean, we probably look like the most grumpiest couple, like when we go out to eat or like if we're just going out and doing something. Because sometimes when we're so tired, like bourbon sounds great, but you know what? I spent all day with you. The last thing I want to do is talk to you. But that doesn't mean I don't want to be in your presence. So sometimes when we're just so exhausted, things are really frustrating, we'll just go out. But you know what? We might sit there on each other's, like we might both be on our phones, but we're in each other's presence. Like we're together. That's important to me, is that we're not going and doing our own dinners.
Yeah.
We're just not talking to each other, but we're having dinner together. Or watching a TV show. Like we'll watch a TV show. I don't have to talk to you, but I'll sit on the other end of the couch.
It comes down to when we have two different living rooms, but I can watch the TV from like this other living room. So sometimes, a lot of times, I'll watch the TV, whatever he's watching, from the other living room.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's nice, because we do see each other all day. It's like we're 24 hours a day around each other. So I guess we don't feel like we're missing out on our marriage because we were in opposite rooms for the evening. It's just you need that space. I think we all do, because you guys are on the phone a lot and we're talking to not just our spouses but all the customers and all the suppliers and stuff all day. Sometimes you want to not talk. And you don't need to, you already know everything about it. The biggest struggle is you already know everything that's going on about the day of the other. You were there.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can't say, how was your day? You know if it was a good or bad day. You already know what they went through. So you do miss out on, I guess, by working together, of being able to ask, how was your day? What happened today? Because you were fully vested into their day with them, So it's definitely makes it a little bit more difficult. But I think what's nice though for us guys is a lot of times, I mean, for me, I don't know the other stuff. I say guys for me. Anyway, but because we tend to be the ones on the other end, they're out in the field more so than the women in the office a lot more times. I know Bailey's working out in the field a lot more, but in general, we're out in the field. Yeah. But for me, it's nice. And also the issues and stuff we're having is she's a little more empathetic to me saying, hey, I have to go in tomorrow and finish this job or something, on a weekend or something, because she understands, because she was there when that customer was calling and they were all pissed off and we're just trying to appease this to get paid on this check. So if you weren't involved in your spouse's, your wife's, your husband's companies, you probably wouldn't understand, and you'd be holding it against them if they were working. Well, you're always working. In this case, that they're not working because they want to. They're working because they've got this irate customer that won't let up on them. It's been just hounding them. So I think that's a big benefit to working together. Which is a big pro to it.
Yeah, mine's a little bit different situation, because I don't go to work with him every day. I do the odds and ends of things when he needs them done. So I am home with kids most of the time during the week, or I'm at my own job and I get the text of, guess what happened today? Things like that. I'm like, oh crap. If I get those guess what happened today texts, it's usually bad news. So I don't get to see how I get to ask him how his day was, even though we have probably talked about it most of the day. But for him, it's probably better for him to talk it out. Even if he's told me about it 10 times today, he'll cool down by the end of the night. But no, I get it.
It's tough.
Yeah, that's a lot. So you have another job outside of helping him and being a mom? Wow. Well, good for you.
Wow.
I work part-time at a local hospital here in Colorado.
Bring this back up. Where's your bourbon?
Yeah, right? Yeah. A margarita?
Yeah. Margarita.
We have a little bar at the corner from our house, so. Yeah.
There you go.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. It's rough, but it's definitely a positive. It's a positive work together. And I think for the most, if you make what you want out of it. If you decide that you're going to argue over every little thing, you will. And we chose not to. So and leave it at work and leave the home stuff at home. That's the biggest battle I think between it is separating it. But once you can figure that out, it makes your life better to be together more.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm reading the comments while I'm talking. So I wish some of these names so we could see who these were. Definitely need a cool down period before talking to the wife. Don't want to get to the wrath. I don't.
I'm really, like, guilty of. I don't have much of a, well, I mean, my husband could probably answer that. My face speaks volumes, and he just knows, like, okay, let's not talk to her right now because that is not the face that I should be approaching. But yeah, the cool down periods are definitely helpful. And when you can acknowledge that for yourself, like when you can self-reflect, like, I need a timeout, I need a cool down period.
Yeah.
That's really powerful.
Yeah. Well, I think, was there any other talking points? Or I mean, I know I appreciate you guys coming on so late. I know it was it's got to be like we were talking. It's like 2-3 hours later for you guys. You guys are troopers.
Yeah, it's definitely beer time.
Yeah, I know. I think on this subject, I was going to go take you to dinner. Just
there you go.
little PF Chang's and some vodka or some wine or something. I don't know.
There you go. Yeah.
Try to take all my failures and tuck them down real deep today, like, I know. Right? You celebrate them, I tuck them real deep.
Tuck them really deep. Right. Yeah. No, I kicked Tyler out of the house before. We have 3 big dogs, and so I know that they'd be barking their head off. So he's at the little restaurant around the corner. So I'll probably go join him and tell him that I didn't say anything too bad.
Good for you.
For him.
Cole can hear the whole thing. He can only hear what I'm saying. He can't hear what you guys are saying.
Oh, okay. So he's probably like, I better go back and watch this.
Maybe.
And I couldn't say any negative about my husband. Because he's here. So
he's here. What? No. She'll text you those a little bit later.
Right? Yeah. I'll look for the email later.
Of course, she's in the process is payroll, so it's not like there's anything I can do. So it's like, right, I'm probably walking on eggshells most of the time, a lot more than she is. That's for damn sure.
Oh my gosh.
No, the one thing is she does. I mean, she takes charge of the house, and at work, I do kind of take charge, and she doesn't override me. At least she doesn't do it in front of people. And I think that's a big factor, is somebody has to take the lead, at the company. Everything can't be, especially when there's 2 of you and you don't agree, you can't always say majority rules when there's only 2 of you owning the company. So you have to say, okay, I'm going to live with whatever mistakes he makes, and I'll tell him, what a jerk he is later.
And it's the same thing. It's the same thing at work. Like, you can have you can disagree with I can disagree with him when we're in a private meeting or in a private office, or we can go at it privately, but in front of our employees, it's just cannot happen. So
and that's what I was talking about.
It goes along with that saying of, like, defend them in public, correct them in private. Like, you don't want your employees to know that you don't agree with what Brian is saying, and vice versa, because then they're like, So
it's a unified front always, and it's with that in business, it's with that in parenting. Like, we always talk about things, and whatever is public facing, like, that's our unified front. And that's how it took a bit to get there, especially with some of family, but when you have that unified front, and when you start adding employees to it, you don't want to be sending them mixed signals, or like, who's really the boss. Like, I mean, in our company, they know that obviously I do payroll, so I give the paycheck, so they know anything HR, like employment related, that they can come to me. But anything regarding the company itself, fence materials, installation methods, like, don't be asking me. The best I can do is like send you a Mr. Fence video or something. Like, ask Tyler for that. He's the expert in that, and we support each other in that. Like, he doesn't answer payroll questions. I don't answer fence installation questions.
Yep.
Have a unified front.
Yeah, I agree. And I won't even answer payroll questions, even if I know the answer. And that's something you have to be, you have to be really strict about, because once you answer for one person, they're going to be lined up outside your office asking you questions about payroll and things like that. So everything we got to be even at our end, we got to be like going, hey, you got to go talk to Yadira. I don't know. Even though I know how much he makes, I know what he's doing. I would pretend I didn't on every single HR related question and send them directly to her. If she's not there, I'm like, I know you have to wait till she comes back or send her an email, but I'm not going to answer it. And she's the same. Once Yadira figured out who the boss was, it's not true. She lets everybody come to me for the rest of the stuff. But yeah, for that part, if you don't separate that and let the employees know who handles what, and then respect those roles, it becomes a mess at work. A mess. Yeah, they can sense the arguing between you two and the power struggle, and then they feel like they got 2-3 bosses and a superintendent, and it's a nightmare work environment for them.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Well, it was a great talk, everybody. I know we're going past what I was told to try to keep it at 30 minutes, and I think we're at 40 something. So
thank you guys so much.
It was a good conversation.
Absolutely. I look forward to meeting you guys in person too.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be so much fun. Get to know each other.
I heard you guys are going to get the women of FWA Temecula wine run or something, is what I was saying. I heard.
Yeah, and then tomorrow we are going. We are doing a meeting for the women of FWA. Tomorrow's Thursday.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think
it's I think 5:30 or 2:30.
3:30 Mountain Time.
3:30. Okay. Yep.
Yeah,
that sounds right.
So.
Yeah. I won't be on that one, because as soon as Susan, Veronica, and Heather and all find out that I hijacked this one, I'm going to get banned from this thing probably.
Yes. I just asked you to help me log into it.
You snooze, you lose.
It's good. It's fun. It's been fun talking to you guys. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you, everybody, and
it gave
everybody
a different perspective as Brian and Yadira working together. She knows how it is working with Brian. Now you have the Brian working with Yadira. So you got that side of things.
Yeah.
I guess it was nice to hear the important side of it, right?
Uh-huh.
Don't worry, baby. You got the wine coming in a second. I got you. I'll get over this. I'll get through this. One way or another. No, but thank you, everybody else. Thank you guys for coming on, and everybody else that's watching this. If you're watching it live, thank you. If you're watching this, from one of the recordings, thank you for that too. Still drop your comments and stuff in the comment boxes, and I think we're going to go through and try to answer some of those and keep those feeds, and maybe drop some more questions in there. And we'll do this again with maybe a new group of people or something, and get some different opinions on how they handle it. So don't be afraid, even after the recording and the live is over, to drop some comments in there, because we can still see those. They'll still populate at our end, and we'll try to get those questions answered in another video, or even on the comment strip. Good night, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, whenever you're watching. All right. Have a good evening. All
you
right.
too. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Okay, we'll see you guys later.